Hi everyone, I'm Riri Ayodele from Vectral Academy, and today we'll be demonstrating a proof of concept of a $5,000 bug that was discovered in a financial application in which an attacker was able to take over any legitimate user account by intercepting the OTP code in the password reset API endpoint. So basically, the problem was the API endpoint that was in charge of resetting the password was accepting an extra array of data, which an attacker now added their own email and intercepted the illegitimate user's OTP code. So by just knowing an email or a user email registered on that application, an attacker can take over as much accounts as they want. Sorry. So we built this vulnerable application to replicate the same vulnerability because the real application which was reported was is still being patched and we cannot use it for demonstration. So we built this vulnerable application which actually simulates the same vulnerability so you can understand how it actually works. So I have my box sheet on. Let's get to it. So like I said, the vulnerability was in the password reset flow. So this is the vulnerable application that we built. Just something simple to replicate it. And so let's create before I start intercepting traffic, let's try to create a victim account, and we create an attacker's account, then we try to take over the victim's account through the vulnerable password resets endpoint. So I'll be using some temporary emails for that because I don't want to use it. So for clarity, I'll be using this one for the attacker, then we'll be using this for the victim so you can understand. There won't be any confusion. Hold on. So temp mail for the victim. So let's try to register an account. So we don't have an account yet. Let's create an account. Let's put it let's say the victim, right? Then let's choose an email. Then let's choose a password. Let's say the password could be victim pass 01 hash. So let's create an account. So we can see the password victim pass 01 hash. So let's save it so you will know that so we can understand when do we try to reset the password. So we get our OTP for virtual bank 777469, and that's it. So we've successfully created the victim's account, we verified it, and you can see the victim email attached, status active. Good. So let's try to create an attacker's account with another email and would now test the password reset flow. So this is the victim's account. Remember I said we'll be using this green temp mail for the attacker, the purple for the victim. So now let's create the victim's account. Let's say and the attacker, right? Now right, let's use the same idea. Attacker pass 01 hash. So create the account. As you can see, attacker pass 01 hash. Now, so let's get our verification code from virtual bank, and our code is 105.3. Good. and our attacker's account has been created. So now this is the, don't forget, this is the victim's email and the attacker's email. Now let's test the vulnerability and see how it actually happened in real time. So using the attacker in, now I'm going to assume that the attacker has gotten, through enumeration, he has gotten a list of, a handful list of registered users on the application, maybe through breach credentials or breach database or leaked credentials or anything. So let's forget the password, and this is the attacker, the victim's email, remember. And before we do that, let me turn on my PoC proxy so I can intercept traffic from PoC. I think it's working. So my intercept is on and send the OTP. Good. Now this is the OTP request. Now let me show you where and how it is. So let's send it to repeater. Let me turn off my, okay. I think first we need to do intercept. So we intercept this request, then send it to the repeater. I think this is the one we are working with, right? So now all we need to do now is, this is where it worked, and that the API endpoint was supposed to sanitize an extra array of email, but this is a mistake, that a misconfiguration that a lot of attackers miss. So by just adding an extra array, put in a comma. Now let's copy the attacker's email, paste it, and now don't forget, before you send, let's turn off our proxy. Okay, let's actually forward that and turn off the proxy. So OTP is sent, and I send this as well. Good, so OTP sent as well. So okay, you need to turn off this proxy and see. I'm waiting for the proxy to turn off. Perfect. So you can see the email reset password has reached the attackers, the victim's email, and has also reached the attacker's email. And as you can see, 8836788361. So my knowing that, I need to turn off this intercept. Why is this thing not coming up? Okay, OTP sent. So now remember, the former password was victim pass 01 hash. Now I'm going to use the attacker's password for the victim's email, and as the new as the new password. So attacker zero no attacker pass attacker pass 01 hash. Then I reset the password. Good. Password reset, login. Can you see? Mozilla even asked me for a new one, say attacker pass 01. So no need to update. Let's not update it so that we'll know. That means we are using the former password. Now, normally if the vulnerability worked, this is not supposed to go through. Of course, invalid password. Your account has been taken over because an attacker has already intercepted your OTP code from the vulnerable forget password API endpoint. But as the attacker, knowing the new password, attacker pass 01 hash, I successfully log in into the victim's account. That's just it. So this is a vulnerability that is actually, you would actually not know that this exists. That's why you need to be very witty as an ethical hacker. You need to think outside the box. I mean, not a lot of people has even tried these techniques on their real application. So now you've learned something new today, and test it on your applications, test it on your endpoints, and don't assume that your API endpoints are safe. Always implement solid input sanitization. Strip any extra data that the API should not need, so that an attacker will not run attacks like this and attacks like mass assignment as well. So thank you for coming. Join our Telegram channel for more. Follow us on all socials. We'll see you in the next video.